now to more of my interview with Defense Secretary Ash Carter. Donald Trump's election victory means Carter's tenure as Pentagon chief is likely nearing an end, but he will continue handling threats around the world until the next administration takes over. I sat down with the secretary for a conversation you are seeing only on CBS This Morning. On this Veterans Day, do you think Americans have a sense that we are in some ways still at war?
I think they know that we have challenges everywhere in the world. I think they know that we have to destroy ISIL in order to protect ourselves. We're doing that first in Iraq and Syria, and then everywhere else they arise around the world.
Let's talk about the fight against ISIS. There's an ongoing operation to clear Mosul and Raqqa. Where are we in that fight?
We're following a plan. In Mosul, we have enveloped the city, that is, forces that we have trained and equipped. They're local people, because we all know that in order to make defeat last, the local people have to sustain the victory. We help them get the victory. Likewise in Raqqa, in Syria. We're doing the same thing. We're beginning to envelop the cities, and we'll collapse ISIL's control. And that's important, Norah, because we need to destroy the fact and the idea of an Islamic State in Iraq and Syria.
Should we be bombing ISIS more?
We're bombing them an awful lot. We're taking out leaders. We're taking out their financial centers. They can't move every single night. Just as we sit here today, we're winding up for tonight's operations. We're doing a huge air campaign.
One of the big challenges for the next administration, North Korea. Country you, I know, have been thinking about for decades. How close do you think North Korea is to being able to put a nuclear weapon on a missile? And can we wait for that day?
I can't tell you everything we know about the first part of that, but I can tell you we're not waiting for the day where they do that. We have to protect ourselves, and we have to protect our allies. And so if North Korea ever were to attack the United States or its allies, they would regret it.
Russia. What is Vladimir Putin up to?
Well, I mean, Russia has mostly in Europe been aggressive, as it was in Ukraine, in Georgia, and so we need to stand strong against the possibility of Russian aggression in Europe. In
They've
Syria,
got an aircraft carrier right off of Syria.
Well, in Syria, what the Russians said, if you'll remember, was that they were going to come in and fight terrorism and help remove Assad.
Is that what they're doing? They're not doing it. They're helping Assad.
Exactly, which in turn simply fuels the fires of the Syrian civil war. So the Russians have been completely backwards there in what they've been doing. And so we have not been able to, and I have not been in favor, and I'm not recommending to the president, that we associate ourselves with or work with the Russians until they start doing the right thing.
So we shouldn't cooperate more with the Russians now.
We can't. They're not doing what we need to do and think needs to be done there.
The President of the United States has the sole authority to launch a nuclear weapon.
That's right.
No checks or balances.
No, the president is the commander-in-chief of our armed forces, and the president and only the president has the authority to order the employment of nuclear weapons. Now, a president, if God forbid we ever get into that circumstance, but we're ready for it, will have all of his advisors. We make sure that we set things up so that the president has the advice of the Secretary of State and the Secretary of Defense.
And as we make this transition of power, are you worried at all about our national security?
Well, we're vigilant every day. Our safety is not a birthright. It's something we have to work hard for every day. We owe gratitude and appreciation to the people who do that for us, and that includes our current service members and our veterans.
They are what makes this country great.
You're certainly not going to get any argument from me on that point.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Norah. Appreciate it.
So first, happy Veterans Day to all those out there, including my father and my sister. But I think, you know, they can't talk about politics. We can't allow the military to be involved in a political debate. But you can hear from him what you might describe as a difference of opinion. He's not saying that, I'm saying that, a difference in what has perhaps been said on the campaign trail by Donald Trump.
Certainly as it regarded current U.S. engagement with ISIS.
Well, listen to very closely. I mean, I said, should we be bombing ISIS more? You know, Donald Trump said on the campaign trail we should be bombing the expletive out of ISIS. And he said, well, we're bombing them an awful lot. The key is not just getting rid, though, of ISIS in Raqqa and Mosul, which the president wants to do before he leaves office. You then have to hold it. You can't just leave a vacuum there so that they can come back. That's the challenge. And then, of course, North Korea, whether or not we would do a preemptive strike if, in fact, they have that nuclear capability in the future on a long-range missile.
Nicely done, because he very seldom gives interviews.
That's right.
It's easy for everybody to armchair quarterback, but he's in the chair.